Our girl is destitute.
What conspiracy theory do you have?
You're the Feyre.
I'm Feyre. He hates Tamlin. He's also a bit of a petty bitch.
And yet, she decides, let me just shoot my shot and see it. I'm like, girl.
Hello,
Sup, Serial Squad.
Serial Squad.
Woo!
Woo.
I mean, don't tell, for those who listen to spoiler free, don't tell them. But like, especially these days, y'all are my favorites.
Seriously.
It's so hard.
It's so hard. It's so like, especially any of the chapters that deal with Rhys.
Yeah.
And like this one specifically, this chapter 39 is just, it's brutal because what happens between Feyre and Rhys in this chapter is one of the still kind of few things that I have issues with Rhys,
Yeah.
right? Like this, sort of kind of plaything situation that he ends up kind of doing with Feyre. It's rough, I mean, I think I know that you and we have sort of, and we'll unpack it during this episode, but like we've sort of found some of the kind of what I would say are like answers of like kind of why he kind of does this at all. But it's still pretty hard, like, so, readers, listeners, right? We left baby girl, the bargain finally happened, and Rhys, also saved her kind of from her chores and glamored the guards to basically leave her alone, not make her do any chores, and this chapter 39, it's the infamous parties chapter, right? Where her whole body gets painted and she gets thrown on a slip of a dress,
if that,
to be worn to these parties, and the fairy wine and the dancing on Rhys and all, like, this, we're there team.
Yep.
So this is chapter, it's hard because it's just like the complete loss of body autonomy that Feyre has in this chapter. It's hard to stomach, and I think you and we have, and I'm excited to unpack some of the sort of reasonings behind all of this, but it's still hard to stomach that particular portion,
Yeah, I think, we did talk a bit about it in the spoiler-free episode. Obviously, we couldn't go in depth about it because they don't know yet. He's fine. He's safe.
Yeah.
But I think, it's so funny because normally we take little breaks in between spoiler and non-spoiler episodes. And so I was getting my lunch ready. David was asking me how this episode went. We were talking about, like, just this whole chapter and what happens. And I was telling him, like, there's really only what, because, in the spoiler-free episode, we brought up how at this point, Feyre is basically in solitary confinement, right?
Yeah.
Like, Rhys got rid of the chores for her. She has nothing to do until the next trial, except ruminate on the riddle and listen to people being tortured in these dungeons, which would drive a person crazy in very irreversible ways. Like, we know this in real life when people are put into solitary confinement and not listening to people being tortured. Like, there is, like, you cannot fix that mental damage, right? And so I was really trying hard to think, like, what else could he have done instead of these parties? And the only thing I could think of would be him going and visiting her in her cell. And I don't think that was possible, because I think at some point someone would have noticed, right? And told Amarantha, or Amarantha herself would have noticed. And at the very least, Feyre would be like, why are you doing this? Like, him making her a plaything, right? Like she in her mind can go like, okay, he's like basically torturing, if not me, Tamlin,
Yeah.
right? Like there's a reason for this. But if he were just like coming in, hanging out with her, like she would be questioning shit.
Yeah.
So don't I hate to say it, but I don't think there really is anything else he could have done
Yeah.
to protect her from going insane in the solitary confinement and like protect her from whatever else, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and like it's such a weird this is such a weird side to be like
I
gavel
know.
gaveling really, but it's like also I hate to say it, but like the kind of favor of the sort of hungover haze that she spends most of her days, right? Like
Yeah.
the unfortunate thing is she is dealing with like what, many have coined the kind of like hangxiety, right? Where like
Mm,
the hungover anxiety of like the next day of the sort of like self-hatred of not remembering what happened,
yeah.
the self-hatred of having drank so much that you feel shitty, kind of all of that, but like in a weird because she even says that over time these days kind of just start getting all hazy because she basically just spends
Yeah.
them waking up hungover, dealing with her hangover, kind of just like sort of sleeping in and out basically, and then gets taken, painted, and then basically just starts drinking and just kind of does it over again. And no one's saying that this is this is a good way to pass the time, but
No.
baby girl is under a mountain, um in a cell, in a cage, basically waiting for a trial. Like
Yeah.
it's such a it's such a weird position I feel like Sarah J Maas has put us in, but it's this like really bizarre thing of like kind of what you said of like really try to look at it from like a non-emotional place
Yeah.
and purely just like what could be done here for her to avoid isolation and still be somewhat safe, quote
Yeah.
unquote. This is kind of like almost the only way. This whole dancing for him thing. At first
Yeah.
you're very like, come on, bro. Like, yes,
Right.
it's a great way to get back at Tamlin. It's a great way to kind of like embarrass her. And it's 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 just it's a good evil villain thing, really.
Right.
Right? But on that same side, it's a good evil villain thing. So no one's going to question that he's taking
Mhm.
her out of her cell every night because
Mhm.
he's getting this sort of morbid entertainment from her.
Yep.
But then on the other end, he's also um really like by having her be his kind of like private, not so private dancer, he's making it to where no one else is going to try to dance with her. No one's going to try to kind of catch her in a conversation or pull her into a dark corner. Like if they are kind of always on display in this particular way, he's actually guaranteeing that she is not going to be touched by anybody else.
Yeah.
And by making her drunk, she's not going to see whatever morbid entertainment these people use to
Yes.
get through their evenings.
Yep.
So it's 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 dark, but it's kind of like if when you put all those things together, you're like, "Okay, this actually is way better than her slowly going crazy in a cell."
Yep.
And the paint. The paint
Yeah.
is such a crazy stroke of genius, actually.
Oh, yes.
Right? Because it allows for our sweet Feyre to have her hangover, not really remember what goes on, but she will never be left with the question if she was violated and she doesn't remember, right?
Right.
Because she's been painted everywhere, right? And it says once or twice within the chapter that like I at least know this. I see
Yes.
the marks on my waist. I see a mark on my arm, but for whatever it's worth, the paint is telling me consistently that I am not being violated.
Yeah, I want to come back to that in a sec, but before we do, because I do have a question about how the paint operates.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, going back to
Yeah.
what you were saying about protection. I this might sound crazy, but hear me out.
Okay.
I would argue overall, Feyre's like I think Feyre at the end of this chapter, because of Rhys bringing her to the parties, is actually safer than she was at the beginning. And here's why. It's very much established once they walk into that first party, Feyre is with Rhys. Feyre
Yeah.
basically belongs to Rhys. She says this in this
Yeah.
chapter. I was thinking about as you were talking, we know the guards can't fuck with Feyre
Yeah.
because Rhys glamored them. Amarantha is probably going to realize that at a certain point, that
Yeah.
the guards can't fuck with Feyre. So what would she probably do? She'd probably send in other people
Yeah.
into Feyre's cell. So what Rhys basically did by showing her off and being like, she's with me, is made sure everyone sees this human girl's with me. You touch her, you're fucking dead.
Yeah.
So I think I would argue he added an extra layer, and we can say the way he did it is icky by all means. And frankly, I don't think Rhys even likes
No.
that he had to do this.
No.
But we are taught the way I view Under the Mountain is I know they go to actual war in ACOTAR, but like this is the beginning of the war.
Yes.
Feyre is a prisoner of war,
Yeah.
right? And when you're a POW and you're at war, you don't have many options. We've talked about this before. So you got to work within
Yeah.
with what you got, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what Rhys is doing. And
Yeah.
like, yes, it's icky, but so are a lot of things involved in war,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Going back to the paint though. Okay. I have some questions. So
Yeah.
on pages 347 and 348, this is when, like, right after she's finished getting painted for the first time, she realizes it's Rhys, not Amarantha, who is behind
Mm.
the
Mm.
painting and the attire. And Rhys says to her, she says first, is this necessary regarding the paint? And Rhys says, of course. How else would I know if anyone touches you? He approached, and I braced myself as he ran a finger along my shoulder, smearing the paint. As soon as his finger left my skin, the paint fixed itself, returning to the design of its original form. The dress won't mar it, and neither will your movements. And I'll remember precisely where my hands have been. But if anyone else touches you, let's say a certain High Lord who enjoys springtime, I'll know. So he establishes Feyre touching anywhere on her body or her dress, that's not going to fuck with the paint. But he shows her if he touches, that also the paint will fix itself. But then later, when Lucian comes to her cell the next day, she notices there's paint smudges around her waist and her arms. And she asks Lucian, like, did Rhys do this? And he
Mhm.
says, yes.
Mhm.
So how does that work?
So, okay. I thought about this too.
Yeah.
Purely think the paint fixing itself was
Yeah.
just Reese being like, "I'm just gonna take you back to one here." You know?
Gotcha.
I think
Okay.
he was
That's what
just
I wondered.
showing her, like, even when I touch you, it'll smear.
It'll
And I think he was just sort of
Gotcha.
reset back to one. Like, it to me, it feels like he
Gotcha.
was just sort of, because I had this moment too where I was like, "Wait a minute. If
Yeah.
when he touches her, nothing happens, this goes against
Right.
everything that many of us Reese lovers are fighting for."
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
think this is kind of just a slightly confusing writing moment that Sarah kind of did, because yes,
Yeah.
because we even have proof later, like, or even within this chapter, Feyre talks about how she has memories of blue coated hands and violet
Right.
eyes, which that's
Right.
Reese, right?
Right.
So I purely think the fact that the paint resets, I think it's just him taking her back to zero. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But I too had this moment of like, this is a little confusing the way she did
Yeah.
this, because it makes it seem like, because even with his statement of like, and I'll remember precisely where my hands have been,
Yeah.
I think that was more to mean whatever paint is undone where I know I've touched you, that's fine.
Ah.
Wherever
Yeah.
paint is undone where I know I haven't touched you,
That's someone
that's
else.
that's
Yeah.
someone else. But I agree, it is a bit of a weird, like, I feel like I think she made that a little more confusing than she needed to.
I'm gonna gavel gavel, not because I believe this, but because like I know the Reese haters are gonna try and argue this, and I
Sure.
want to squash this argument before. I think what because this chapter I would say is one of the biggest chapters that gives fodder to the people who don't like Reese,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
I do understand why. I think what could be argued is, well, how do we know he didn't just do the same thing later,
Yeah.
when she was drunk?
Yeah.
To which I would argue back, I'm gonna gavel gavel my gavel gavel. I would say, then what would the point be in him leaving the parts that he did, like the waist and the arms, smeared? Why wouldn't he just
Yeah.
fix it all?
Yeah.
And like make it seem like why would he worry her at all? Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. I think yeah, he was just like you said, taking her back to one.
Yeah.
So that I always forget their names, the twins that
Aw, the
I
twins. It's our
know because we
first
don't get
time
their names in
seeing the
this book.
twins. Yeah, we
I
get their
know.
names
In
in
Akamath.
Akamath. They're 2 names that I know one of them I never pronounce correctly
Right.
because the way it's spelled, it's like Newlwyn or like something like that.
Oh, Cerridwen.
Cerridwen
Yeah.
and something else.
Something. Yeah.
Anyway, we love them.
We love them.
Yeah, it is fun seeing the twins, and
I
it's so funny too because I
know.
kind of forgot, like, how nefarious their, like, intro is. Like,
I
I forgot
know.
that it's like they are the quiet high ladies who paint her when she's naked. Like, I
Right?
just, like, completely forgot about that, and so, like, when they kind of come in and they're quiet and they're doing I'm like, "Oh, the twins." Like, it's so
They're
funny, like,
lovely.
where you land, like, imagining them starting, like, thinking that the same 2 women are the same women who paint her while she's naked are the same ones who, like, help Elaine, like, bake
I
bread
was gonna
is just, like, the
say.
funniest, like,
Oh,
thought.
well, because they're a pretty significant part of
Mhm.
Elaine's healing journey. So yeah, no, it's so funny that they are, like you said, like they're presented as pretty nefarious.
Yeah,
But yeah, going back to what I was gonna say, like, yeah, I feel like he just like fixed the paint so they didn't have to like fix it for him.
exactly. Because I think he wants her to walk in being like, I think
Yes.
everything wants to be like he wants her to be, like, a perfect painting
Well,
display.
that's a perfect segue. So, and actually, I didn't do a directing moment last in the spoiler free episode because I wanted to save it for you guys because it involves a little spoiler. If I were to pick a directing moment for this chapter, it would be when they walk in to the first
Mhm.
time to the throne room because I think, and once we get to Akamath, I might do a little bit of a reread between these chapters. I would liken that portion of this chapter to Hewn City, the first Hewn City scene. And the reason why is because Feyre brings up on page 349, she's like walking into the throne room. She says, I lifted my chin, the weight of the crown digging into my skull. I'd beaten her first task. I'd beaten her menial chores. I could keep my head high. I actually think Feyre doesn't even realize how much power she finds in herself in her appearance in
Yeah,
this chapter. And I think
yeah,
the same goes for Hewn City of like this isn't necessarily for everyone, I know, but like we do see this with Feyre in these books.
yeah,
There is a certain power she finds in her sexuality.
yeah,
And I think that's part of her journey. And I think while again, like I'm not endorsing a man dressing up a woman in scantily clad clothes and blah blah blah, like that I get that. But like she does find power through it because
yeah,
of how she presents herself, right?
yeah,
Like how she walks into that room, how she keeps her head high. And I think even more so with Hewn City because
yeah.
like she's more actively making that choice in the
She's
Hewn.
choosing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rhys tries to kind of convince her not to go to Hewn City, and she's like, "No, I'm fucking going, and I'm
And I'm gonna
dressing the
wear
part.
this fucking dress. Yeah.
Yep, and I'm gonna let you touch my thigh
Yeah.
real close to you know what." God, I love that scene.
It's a
Um,
good scene.
but such a good scene. But I think I would. The reason I'd want to direct this part of the chapter is I would want to mirror it in certain ways once we got to
Yeah.
ACOMAF, whether it's a movie or a series, and kind of like choose similar shots and angles
Mm,
and things like that to
yeah.
show like these two scenes are like, I feel this scene is like the baby version, Hume is like the grown up version,
Yes.
of like it's part of her journey of finding her power in her sexuality.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's why, while I think we all kind of feel, even when we know who Reese is and how good of a person he is, we still feel a little bit of ickiness. I think this is why I am generally okay with this scene, because like we know he's doing it for a very specific reason to protect her and whatnot, but also Feyre does like a lot of the time we don't find our power unless we're thrown into circumstances we're not comfortable with,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's the whole metaphor of like diamonds are made through pressure,
Right.
right? Um, and we see that a lot with Feyre. That's why I liked it last episode to, or the spoiler free episode to her first trial, right?
Yeah.
Like she found her power in a very dangerous circumstance.
Yeah.
And I think she's doing it again, except this time it's court politics.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the other thing I never really realized until rereading this, Rhys doesn't actually force her to drink the wine, ever. He does say drink, and I mean, okay, to be fair, she says no, and then he basically says drink again. But she says, "And my traitorous fingers latched onto the goblet." And
Yeah.
that's the first time. She goes on to say a couple pages later, or 4 pages later, "After I drank the wine, though, I was mercifully unaware of what was happening." Every other time she drinks that wine, she's doing it on her own.
Hmm.
Which, like, there could be arguments about that, but I do think, we kind of talked about this earlier. I think the wine is a mercy,
Yeah.
like there's a lot that goes on under that mountain that we never fully find out what happens, but it's definitely not stuff she wants to remember. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, in Akamath, Rhys says, like, yeah, no, 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 that was so you would not remember the things that you were witnessing down there.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely says that that's like the main reason. That is absolutely the main reason why. And I mean, it's interesting because, um, you know, much like when we were in the chapter, I think of Rhys finding Feyre at the spring court.
Mm,
How at that spoiler episode, I kind of went ahead and read Akamath,
yeah,
chapter 55, right? I did a similar thing for this chapter because stuff like the wine, stuff like the outfit and everything, it's hard to stomach even though you love Rhys. Like,
mhm,
I think Ariel and I have found some pretty solid arguments of like why this was maybe the best thing he could have done for her. It
yeah,
does not change the fact of loss of body autonomy. It doesn't change that. And
absolutely.
so it's hard. It's a hard thing to kind of like swallow.
Yeah,
And I think also it's hard to remember where Rhys is at mentally at this point, right?
yeah,
So I went ahead to the infamous chapter 55,
yeah,
and I'm kind of going to start a little bit ahead of the moment we want to be at, but cuz I
yeah.
just think this is really interesting. It's page 5, kind of 524, 525. He's talking about Claire
Mm,
and how he actually ends up taking away her pain and just tells
right.
her when to scream. So
Hmm.
we know that he didn't actually let her be fully tortured. And he thinks it's all over. And then he sees the adder bring her in. And, basically talks about how terrified he is to be seeing this happening, and how, that's when Lucian's mind's gonna be shattered and all the stuff. And then he hears her name. And
Mm,
basically, this is he says, hearing you say it, it was like an answer to a question I'd been asking for 500 years. I
mm,
decided then and there that I was going to fight, and I would fight dirty and kill and torture and manipulate, but I was going to fight. If there was a shot of freeing us from Amarantha, you were it. I thought the Cauldron had been sending me these dreams to tell me that you would be the one to save us, save my people. So, right?
Mm.
So, this is where he's at this point. She
Yeah.
is the answer. She is the savior.
Yep.
So, he continues. So, I watched your first trial, always pretending to be that person you hated. When you were hurt so badly against the monster,
Thank
I
you.
found yeah, I found my way in with you, a way to defy Amarantha, to spread the seeds of
Mm.
hope to those who knew how to read the message, and a way to
Oh,
keep you
shit.
alive without seeming too suspicious, and a way to get back at Tamlin, to use him against Amarantha, yes, so to make him mad,
Yes.
but to get back at him for my mother and sister and for having you. When
Yes.
we made that bargain, you were so hateful that I knew I'd done my job well. So we
Mm.
endured it. I made you dress like that so Amarantha wouldn't suspect, and made you drink the wine so you would not remember the nightly horrors in the mountain.
Yeah.
Such important things in this portion. And
Oh, crucial.
the noise you made at that one sentence is exactly the bone chilling moment I had too, which was a way to defy Amarantha, to spread the seeds of hope to those who knew how to read the message,
Yep.
and a way to keep you alive without seeming too suspicious. So, huge answers as to why everything is he's doing things very publicly with Feyre.
Yes. Well, and you know what it made me realize, and it makes me feel a little bit smart if I can toot my own horn for comparing the scene to the Hume City
Yeah.
scene, because what he's doing is he's basically dressing her up as the High Lady of the Night Court.
Yeah. He's prepping.
He's prepping. He's showing this could be our future.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But
y'all, look at this.
so I think it explains so much. Like, he doesn't bring up that he feels like she's going mad in the cell, but
Yeah,
he is
she would have.
explaining the publicness of everything.
Yep.
Like, that first party when he walks in and he shares the bargain with Amarantha. This is the point of it all. The weeks
Yes.
with him are more so they're more so that Amarantha won't suspect, because if he made a bargain and didn't get anything out of it, it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
It's also the weeks with him are also a little wave of rebellion, because it's him saying she's going to be doing this for the rest of her life, and
Yeah.
therefore she will survive, therefore she will win. What better way to tell people who are looking for these signs,
Yes.
right, than to do all of this so publicly?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and then he has to continue to treat her in a particular way, or Amarantha is going to suspect.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that just it explains so much. And like, also what this reading led me to as well is actually how clever it is for him to continue to bring her to like dance and do all this stuff, because he's almost like making Amarantha feel like we're in this together. Like, we're fucking with this
Mhm.
couple. Like, look at
Mhm.
us
Yeah.
being these like dastardly little, you know, like
Yeah.
duo, just fucking with this little couple, right? So she's not gonna like suspect anything, when really what he's consistently doing is like showing all these other fairies as well. Like, I think I have the key, guys.
Yes.
I think I
Yes.
got
No,
her.
it's so clever. And I think also, like, I think the big thing that gets discussed with this scene and just in regards to like Reese in general for the people who don't like him is like the lack of choice Feyre has in
Yeah.
terms of like what she wears, how she's presented. My counter argument, and I'm just gonna say this, I'm gonna try and phrase this as properly as possible, but quick disclaimer, like, hopefully by now those listening know I'm a mega feminist. Like, I first and foremost believe in consent and things like that. Like, gonna put that out there first before I say this. But
Yeah.
what I will say is we're not talking about an average human girl. We're talking about someone who becomes frankly, one of the greatest leaders that Prithian has ever
Yeah.
seen. And if you've
Yeah.
read any of the other 2 series that Sarah J. Maas has written, those are also dealing with 2 leaders, right? 2
Yeah.
heroines who become leaders, right? We know through history, real human history as well as fictional, history, that the best leaders are the people who don't actually want to lead. The
Yeah.
people who actually typically want to lead tend to end up corrupt because
Yeah.
they just want the power. But the people who don't want to lead, they don't want that power, right? Which is what makes them such good leaders, right?
Yeah.
And fair. That is the exact position Feyre is in right now. Like, yes, obviously Rhys has no idea yet that she's gonna die and be resurrected as a fae and become the first High Lady of Prithian. Like, he doesn't know that,
And he doesn't
but
even know they're mates yet. We're
has no
not even
idea they're
there yet.
mates.
Yeah.
No, but he sees something. He sees her as a key,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Therefore, he sees some sort of leadership potential
Yeah.
in her.
Yeah.
And she clearly doesn't want that. However, she needs to become that.
Yeah.
And it is unfortunate in the way she has to become it. But like her having to dress like this is, I would say, and I think Feyre would probably argue this as well, the least scary thing she's had to do so far. One of the least scary things. She just killed a monster. Like her life has been threatened in innumerable ways at this
Yeah.
point. So, and
Yeah.
to kind of call back to our spoiler free episode, something we kind of figured out in real time as we were recording is there's kind of a almost like a one-to-one with Rhys and Tamlin at this point because
Yeah.
yeah, like Tamlin has also made Feyre do a lot, and I would argue a lot more at this point that she didn't want to do. First off, he kidnaps her. Let's just start
Yeah.
there. Takes her to a land where at that point in time where she is, she thinks, "Oh my god, I'm going to die. I'm going to be tortured. I'm going to whatever." Like it's fucking terrifying for her.
Yeah.
Whereas at this point with Rhys and him dressing her up, she already has a pretty good handle on what Prithian is like, right?
Yeah.
Tamlin also kind of forces her to dress up in ways she's not comfortable with the dresses. Now, eventually she does dress how she wants,
Yeah.
but she at first is not comfortable dressing in these frilly dresses. Now, you could argue wearing something that you could basically see through is worse. It depends on the person,
Yeah.
honestly.
Very
There are
true.
some people who would prefer that
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
dressing up in frills and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we're talking about Feyre in particular, she's a hunter who likes to have mobility. She's gonna have more mobility in this dress than she would in the dresses Tamlin, and she talks
Yeah.
about this,
Yeah.
right? There's a number of things Tamlin makes her do that Rhys doesn't.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's not to say this isn't icky. It still is
It
icky.
is. It's icky.
But what I'm more so trying to get across is if you're going to criticize this, there's a hell of a lot more I think Tamlin needs to be criticized for. And I rarely see the people criticizing Rhys criticize Tamlin for the same things,
Right.
you know?
Right. I think one of the biggest things that I really like try to hold on to, I think, with this chapter
Yeah.
is we know that Rhys is not enjoying this. Like
No.
we
No.
we we know that there there is a level of what is going on here that is not his favorite at all.
No.
But, when you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, like it's I think as Ariel and I have already kind of proven, like there weren't a lot of fucking choices,
No.
right? And because when even for instance, even when Lucian finally shows up in this chapter, right? Like we know that he could not have come. Like we know because I
Yeah.
even reread the beginning of this chapter and like when she gets painted for the party, it's 4 days after
Yeah.
um
The trial.
it's no, It's 4 days after her chore,
You're
which
right.
means that's like a day or 2 after
After
the
the trial.
bargain, which
Oh,
then
fuck.
yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like at least a week
So,
plus after the
it's
trial.
like a week plus till Lucian is finally able to
Oh.
come to her. So, like, 1,000% she would have died.
Oh, without a doubt.
That's why he was so desperate and twisted the fucking bone in her goddamn arm. Like,
Yeah.
he knew no one was coming. Like
Yes.
like, baby girl was dying. And,
F
it's I mean, fuck Lucian for being Mr. again on at
I
her, just,
know.
like, yelling at her. But this conversation with Lucian just does it gives you this thing of, like, right. This was she had to make this bargain. But it's just, like,
Yeah.
I think I'll go back to where I started, just, like, I don't think Rhys is enjoying any of this. I don't think
No.
any of this is enjoyable for him. I think the
No.
only enjoyment he is truly getting is the surprises that Feyre gives him with some of her
Yeah.
little retorts,
Yeah.
some of, like, the way she handles herself. I think him watching her in the first task was probably quite enjoyable for him.
Yes.
And then the knowledge of him potentially getting closer and closer to getting rid of Amarantha.
Yes.
And besides that, what's kind of funny is, like, a way to almost defend him in this chapter is kind of weird because it's basically what Ariel already said, is that, like, he's really just using her at this point,
Yeah.
right? But it's not a sexual using, it's not an
No.
embarrassment using. He believes she is much to what Tamlin believed she was, which is this is all basically what you were kind of already saying and what we said in spoiler free, of, like, how to both of these high lords, she's the means to an end. She
Yes.
But it's not a, oh, if I dangle this human in front of someone, it is a, she's gonna do something that is going to save us.
Yes. The way I see it is the way Reese uses Feyre is she's more proactive in it than she is with Tamlin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Because all
totally.
with Tamlin, she just has to say, I love you. And I would also argue, like, because yeah, we talked about this in the spoiler free. At the end of the day, both of these males used her. It's
Yeah.
not great
No.
either way.
No.
But at the end of the day, like by the point we're at in the series with Silver Flames, it's not even I would argue, it's just a fact
Yeah.
at this point that the ways in which Reese uses her she considers is far less traumatic than the way that Tamlin uses her,
Yeah.
because Tamlin, well, we've agreed he definitely does genuinely fall in love with her, but he starts off not in love with her, has to coerce her into falling in love with him, only to break this curse that he doesn't even fucking manage to break, right?
Yeah.
And that leaves her genuinely heartbroken.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, up until what? Frost and Starlight, really?
Yeah.
Like, she's still, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised even if in future books she's still processing what happened between her and Tamlin.
Yeah.
Whereas with Reese, it's like, yeah, it's not great. She had
No.
to look sexy, like in front of everyone. But guess what? She ends up doing it later and loving it. Like, she, again, it's like it should be on her terms, but at that point, she's a prisoner of war.
Yeah.
Like, and so is he. That's the other thing. So, and if anyone, sorry, real
No,
quick
go.
while I'm on this Apple box, if anyone knows about being used as a sex object, it's Reese.
Yes. Yes. Which is also why I think it's probably extra painful for him
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah.
But, like, it's also when you do really think about it, and I hate that I'm saying this. All she's doing is dancing and sitting on him.
Yeah. Like, look, can that be considered sexual harassment? Absolutely.
Yeah, but it also sound like, does fairy wine make us do things that we would not?
The way Lucian talks about it kind of seems like Reese didn't make her do the dancing. She just kind of did it herself.
I mean, I think he says, like, He had you dance for him for most of the
Oh,
night.
okay. So he does.
Yeah. But,
Okay.
I also just wonder if it's like a dance for me, Feyre, and then,
Right.
baby girl starts backing that ass up like, like I
I
don't
mean, that fairy wine,
I mean,
like,
that
that's
fairy wine.
also, like, on a side note, I love the fucking memes of,
Oh yeah.
all the memes of her dancing on the fairy, like, they're
Yeah.
always so funny.
Well, what's
Um
what's really funny is so there's this really cool artist on Etsy who almost has made like a comic book kind
Mm.
of like all of the ACOTAR books, and she basically makes like overlays that you can buy, and you can like there are these things that you can fit into your actual hard copy of ACOTAR, and it's like art that she has done. So
Cool.
this girl on Etsy called Listening Stars, um I think like October is like the last time you can buy these. But
Mm,
anyway, she makes all these really cool they're gorgeous. They're actually beautiful. You guys should really check them out. She has a Patreon as well. But
nice.
there is one where she basically shows Lucian showing Feyre
How
what
she was dancing.
how she danced, and it's my contact photo for Deidre.
That's
And it's
amazing.
like
Oh, he's, like, full on doing, like,
he's like
Magic Mike,
full on
like
magic miking in the cell. And it's my contact photo for D,
that's
our
incredible.
unofficial 4th member.
Yeah.
I just thought you would enjoy that because I realized as we were doing this, I was like, "Oh my god, this is the photo I see every time I talk to Deidre." Like, and we
That's
talk all the
so
time. So
fucking
I'm
funny.
thinking
Oh
about
my
this.
god.
She totally forgot. She like saw it the other day and she was like, "Is that still?" I'm like, "Yeah, girl, it's fucking hilarious." Absolutely.
I love
Um,
it.
but anyway, again, I think we have shown enough our kind of like the difficulties we have with this.
Yes.
But also at the end of the day, it is a fantasy book. So, here we are.
Okay, there's one thing I do wanna talk about in
Mm,
terms at the very beginning of this chapter. So another I feel like this is kinda like this and the bargain chapter are the 2 big chapters in, uh, Thorns and Roses where the anti-Rhys haters love to point to. And one of the things is, this tattoo and the bargain and all that, right?
mhm.
So just her talking about looking at the tattoo at the beginning made
Yeah.
me go down, as you like to put this little garden path.
Mhm.
Is it possible that, because, Reese says in this chapter, the bargain lasts for Feyre's whole life, right?
Mhm.
Like, till she dies. Well, she dies at the end of this book. She's resurrected,
Fascinating.
but she dies.
Yeah.
So would that break the bargain? And
Yeah.
walk with me here.
Walking.
Because obviously we know the tattoo stays on her hand, but I think it stays, does it stay forever?
Yes.
And we know he ends the bargain at some point, right? Because they're fucking mates and the bargain isn't needed anymore. Yet the
Yeah.
tattoo stays, right? Which we'll come back to because I have some questions about the rules of bargain tattoos. But before I get to that, to my knowledge, if you don't fulfill a bargain, something bad happens to you. I don't quite know what, but it's kind of established like something's going to happen to you if you don't fulfill a bargain, right?
Right.
That may or may not be controlled by the other person on the end of the bargain, right?
Mhm.
Feyre doesn't go and visit Rhys for months at the beginning of Akamath. I think it's like 3 months or something like that. Like
Mhm.
she doesn't go to the night court until her wedding day,
Yeah.
meaning she's not fulfilling the bargain. So wouldn't something happen to her if she weren't fulfilling the bargain?
Yes. Well, cuz okay, so basically your question is should there not have been something happening to Feyre while she wasn't with Rhysand, correct?
Slash, is it possible the bargain ended when human Feyre died?
So the bargain had not ended.
Okay.
Because he basically says in Akamath, at the end of this book, you know how they have
Yeah.
their little chitty chat,
Yeah.
their little talk.
Yeah.
Um, he says here, he says, "You came to find me. I almost told you then, oh, that they're mates.
Mm.
And for once you looked at me like I was something. So I promised myself that the next time I saw you,
Mhm.
I'd free you of the bargain." So this is
Oh.
when she's Fae and she's come back.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, so Amarantha died. I spoke to the High Lords mind to mind, convincing them, blah, blah, blah. I had to watch as Tamlin held you, kissed you. I wanted to go home, but I had to make sure things were set in motion and that you were okay. So I waited. And then tugged through the bond, saw each other. Yeah, so I promised myself the next time I saw you, I'd free you of the bargain. Because I was selfish and knew that if I let go right then, he'd lock you up and I'd never get to see you again.
Mm. Which, I mean, he was fucking right.
Right.
Like,
But so that means that the
it
bargain
was
was still
still
in
on.
place.
Interesting.
Um,
I swear there was something about like if you don't fulfill a bargain, unless like maybe on his end he's like
well,
it's
no, but I
chill,
think he would have to be the one to like,
take that up, like
yeah,
whatever okay. Well then, okay, I have a second question now pertaining to the tattoo,
yes.
because presumably at some point he freed her of the bargain once she realized she's gonna stay with him,
Yeah.
right? At the very least, or if not later on when she realized they're mates. Isn't the bargain tattoo supposed to disappear once the bargain's fulfilled?
So the thing that I remember is that I'm pretty sure what happens is that, well, they keep the bargain tattoo
Mm,
right when she's a spy. They keep the tattoo
right.
on. And I feel like if I remember correctly, it's almost like no, because the wedding,
That's when she gets the mate tattoo.
that's well, but the that tattoo, it just because we end up finding out later that it like that's what ends up going almost up her like whole arm,
Right.
the wedding one, meaning that the
Yeah.
bargain tattoo just
Is at
stays.
lower. Yeah. So
So,
how?
well, I don't know, because it's a lifelong bargain. Because they never really like get
Maybe.
rid of like. Does he ever really technically like free her of the bargain?
Oh, well, see, now we're getting some dangerous
Well,
territory
no,
for
I
us.
mean, okay, well, but I mean more like I just don't know if they ever actually have the conversation because they reach a certain
Right.
point where it doesn't really matter. Like she's
Right.
in Akamath when Moore saves her,
Yeah.
right? And she stays there. She basically they don't need to enact the bargain because she's there,
Right.
right? So they don't need to
Right.
worry about that. And
Yeah.
then later it turns into she doesn't need the bargain to make her be with him because she
Right. But
wants to be with him.
and she wants to keep the tattoo clearly because she
And
adds
she,
to it.
yeah. Because the thing that I find frustrating is the bargain is not some kind of mind control thing. Right?
No.
It's not some kind like that's not how that tattoo works. What we
No.
learn about the tattoo is that the eye does allow for Rhys to kind of like check in on her. I don't
Right.
think he can see stuff through it actually, but like
No.
it ties them to he can feel her emotions. They can feel although a lot of that gets it's a little
That's
confusing
mating
of where the
bond.
mate bond and where their tattoo where that ends and begins, right? That gets a
Right.
little convoluted. But like the tattoo is not some mind control thing. So
No.
whether they stay in and out of this bargain or whatever doesn't actually affect anything.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I think there's proof, right? At the end of the day, in the
Yeah.
beginning of Akamath, it's 3 months. He only enacts the bargain
3 months in.
because she is screaming for help at her wedding.
Right.
So if anything, this proves that like I'm reading it right now in here. He's dealing with the fact that she's his mate and he is
Right.
not ready. He has no idea what to do with this information. He
Right.
is not enacting the bargain,
Right.
obviously, but he also is clearly not ready to get rid of it because how do you do that? right?
Right.
And then it literally says here that on her wedding day, he's prepared to get fucking drunk as hell with Cassian. And then he
Right.
feels her screaming for help and he goes and saves her. And once he sees her in this dress and everything that's going on, that's when he decides to start the bargain up again. So
Yes.
it's like, and because I also feel like that tattoo, the meaning of that tattoo really changes over the course of their
Yeah.
relationship, right? It
Yep.
starts as this kind of disgusting ownership thing and turns into this representation of their bond and their
Yes.
relationship and all of this stuff. So, because there's no discussion, at least in my mind, in this book specifically,
Yeah.
that this tattoo would ever go away. The only time I
Yeah.
feel like I heard about a tattoo disappearing from a bargain is Silver Flames.
I was so that's why I brought it up. And actually another question I brought up or I'm gonna bring up is because when Cassian and Nesta make their bargain, don't they both get a tattoo?
Yes.
So why doesn't Rhys get one when him and Feyre make the bargain? Unless that's sort of a thing that like Sarah hadn't figured that out quite yet and
Well,
decided
I
to
think
add
it's
it.
because in Cassian and Nesta's bargain, they both like asked something of each from each other.
Yeah, but Rhys is healing her. So she's getting something from Rhys.
I mean, do we know that he doesn't get one?
It's a good point. I mean, I feel it would have been pointed out, don't you think?
I mean, he's covered.
Oh, eventually
I
not
don't know.
all
I don't
for
know.
her.
I feel like for
She
some
would have seen
reason
it.
I feel like Cassian, well, but that's my thing is like, do you
Yeah.
remember, is there maybe something in Akamath we don't remember that it's like, oh
Maybe.
yeah, this is the tattoo I got when we made our bargain? Like,
Actually,
I don't remember. There
there
could
might
be.
be. There could very well be, and I'm just forgetting. I'm really glad you brought up this whole like mind control thing because that's another thing I get see flung around so much with Reese in regards to the bargain. And something I really would like to talk about because first off, you're absolutely correct. Mind control has nothing to do with this bargain. It would have had to have been said when they were making the bargain,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, or phrased in a clever way. There was nothing clever about that phrasing in terms of like he can mind control her.
Yeah.
But also, correct me if I'm wrong, Reese in general can't mind control. He can read minds, but that's a different thing from controlling a person's mind.
So, you know how baby girl Feyre makes Ianthe
Oh,
break her own
yeah.
hand?
Yeah.
That's a bit of mind control, which I'm pretty sure is a gift she gets from Rhys.
Oh. Oh, okay. I'm very curious to reread that because does she do
Me
it
too.
by making? I guess my question with that
Does
is
she glamour
she
her?
could be glamour or like more so what I'm saying is like is she mind controlling her or is she physically forcing Ianthe's hand to crush her other hand with the rock?
I think she
Like
actually glamours her. Because the whole scene is very morbid in that Ianthe is basically just sitting there calmly with a rock beating her own hand in.
right.
Like that's why that scene is like,
Well, and then in that case, anyone who can glamour anyone has that
no,
ability.
absolutely.
Like
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I mean, yes, anyone who can glamour has that ability.
yeah.
So I really think it pulls it really sucks the wind out of the sails, I think, for a lot of these certain thoughts and feelings that we heavily disagree with, to the
Yes.
point where some of these remarks or theories in my mind reach a point of so many holes and inaccuracies that
Yeah.
it reaches a place where it almost doesn't feel worth it to try to break them apart.
No, I
You
know.
know what I
I
mean?
know.
No, like, cause no,
Yeah.
but I'm, and that's what I mean. Like, that's gonna sound like I'm
No, I know
like,
you're not.
and because I understand why we're talking about this right now in the space in which we're in. It makes complete, like, how could we
We
not
have an ACOTAR
bring, I know,
podcast.
how could we not bring up these theories
Yeah.
that are happening? And, you know, I'm sure some of these people feel the way about they feel maybe similarly about how you and I are talking about it. But
Sure.
some of them in my mind, with how many times I have set with Feyre and Rhysand,
Yeah.
it's they reach a place of just like, did you read the books? Like, or
Yeah.
just like stop.
I think what I always come back to is like, why in God's name, why in the mother's name would Sarah J. Maas have us sit with these two characters for 5 books
Yeah.
only for, I mean, mind you, I'm gonna weirdly gavel
She
gavel
loves a
myself.
twist, but like this is
Well, but not just that, apparently, and I have not been able to confirm this, so listeners, if you know where this was said, please send it to me and, Corinne, because, like, I don't know, I haven't been able to find the source of this, but I keep hearing people say that Sarah J. Maas said in ACOTAR 6, there's gonna be a massive betrayal.
okay.
And I wonder if that's where a lot of this is coming from. You know what I mean? Of like, a lot of people think it's going to be Rhys. I don't think the massive betrayal is going to be Rhys. I have a few theories of who it could be. I know a big one is more.
I was gonna say, if anything, it could be more. We left her in a very weird place
We did.
in the last.
I have a lot of issues with the more stuff. Um only because, how do I phrase this? A lot of the at least the stuff I've seen, the reasoning people think it's more is they say she wasn't being truthful to Asriel and like about her sexuality. And I'm like, there's a difference between
Oh,
lying and
fuck
being
off.
closetive.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
and like
sorry.
I'm not gonna go off like I would like to go off, but like I have a huge issue with people who claim that people
Yes,
who are in the
yes.
closet are liars.
Same,
Like that
same,
is a
same.
bigger systemic issue than like an individual issue. And
Yeah,
please, if you consider yourself an ally and feel that way, do your homework and like
yeah.
read
No.
some more about why closeting is a lot of the times necessary. But I digress. So that's the reason why I'm not the biggest fan of the more theories. What
Yeah.
I will say is there is some weird stuff about her power of truth. Like,
Well, yeah, and also just like where we left her
yeah,
in Silver Flames, like
yeah.
she's like off. Like, she's kinda gone, and there's this whole scene of her, like, riding a horse at some manor that we have, like, never heard about
Well,
ever.
I have some theories that I can't talk about on this podcast
I'm
because it
sure you
pertains to other
do.
series.
Yes, but it's just, like, that's the only reason why I would think maybe more is just, like, there's some stuff.
Yeah,
And what's interesting is, like, but if a big betrayal came from Moore, I would just assume that it's because she's stuck in some situation that she needs to get out of.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
I think the two big theories about if this thing that Mama Massa said is true of like there's gonna be a big betrayal, which again I have not seen the source of it. I gotta find it somewhere if it exists. I think it's gonna be either Amryn for reasons again I cannot say on this podcast because it pertains to other series that you and I know have talked about,
Mhm.
or and I think this is the one I'm really hanging my hat on more so, Lucian and Tamlin.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be they've been switching. They've been Freaky Fridaying it, and they've been like Lucian has actually been Tamlin, and Tamlin has been Lucian because we know that Tamlin can not only shapeshift but also have his buddies. He can make his buddies shapeshift. That's established
Actually,
with Andres.
that really goes along with our hope for a Tamlin redemption story in a weird way, right?
Exactly.
Because it
Yeah.
would kind of commence this conversation.
hmm
All right, I'm with you on that one.
And in addition to this, I mean, I don't know if this would be a betrayal. It would just more so add of, like, the whole theory that Gwen is Tamlin's daughter,
Right. Right.
you know?
Right.
So, I think it's more likely it's gonna have to do with Lucian and Tamlin.
Well, cuz
Um,
also from like a from just like a pure like writer standpoint,
yeah,
isn't that kind of a lazy betrayal? If it ends
if it
up
were
being if it was Reese,
oh
like
my god, it'd be
this
so
sort of
lazy.
like this like, oh no, he doesn't actually love you. He's been lying this whole time, and then but
Yes.
actually deep down he fell in love with blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't
Yeah.
that feel like it would be a little like
Oh, it would be so
Okay.
fucking cheap that, like, to the point where I might
I
reconsider
would be
my,
so mad at
relationship with
her.
Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
like
also, like, as we have seen in this series, and if
yeah.
you've read any other of her series, many of these twists have breadcrumbs to them,
Yes, they
right?
do.
I just don't see it as Rhys at
The
all. I just really
only
don't.
thing the only thing, and I'm not gonna say what exactly, because again,
Other
cross series
books.
theories, there could be something about Reese's identity. Not that he's a bad guy,
Okay, but that again,
but
but
who
that's
he
not a
is exactly.
betrayal.
No, that's not a betrayal. Let's just
I
say
don't yeah,
surprise.
I don't feel like that yeah, that feels like, haha,
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
doesn't feel like a huge betrayal. But, okay,
No, I know we've gotten so off course. Going back to this chapter.
I don't have much more to really discuss about the whole Reese dance, you know, paint of it all,
Yeah,
besides the end of this chapter
yeah.
where we see Tarquin for the first time.
This was like the saddest intro to Tarquin.
I know. It's so
Like,
sad.
this poor guy
I feel so
cannot catch a fucking break.
I
Well,
feel
especially because, like,
so
I'd forgotten that he was a brand new High Lord.
yeah.
Like, so then when Rhys and Feyre kind of fuck with him in Akamath, you're like, this poor dude. Like, he's the new kid on the block.
Ugh.
He just came out from under the mountain. Like, so this is like devastating. It's also fascinating to me though that, like, he becomes such an important character
Yeah.
later on, and like Feyre is seeing, I mean, I think this also sets up so well why Tarquin trusts Rhys in Akamath, and also what makes that much more sad. Like, that is one of the things I will say both Rhys and Feyre fucked up on,
Ugh.
is betraying
How
Tarquin.
they handled Tarquin.
Like, it
Yeah.
really was not cool. Like,
Yeah.
I on the one hand, I kind of understand, like, they're on this secret mission, right? Like,
Yeah.
they can't trust anyone, but then when you, like, know who Tarquin is, you're like, "Yeah, dude, if you just asked him, he would've given it to you."
Or,
Like
like, I think the only way Tarquin would have believed them is if they had shown him Valeris,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think
Yeah.
that's because the issue is Tarquin does have issues with Rhysand because of what Rhysand does here.
Yeah, but doesn't he, like, because he clearly in this
Yeah, so
scene
it's this very
sees.
weird, like, he he holds a grudge because
Yeah.
he kills his cousin,
Oh,
right?
fuck, I forgot this is his
This is his
cousin.
cousin. So
Shit.
Brutus or something very,
Yeah.
you know, Roman like that. But like it's something to that effect.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so he holds a grudge uh with Rhys
For
that
that.
he kills his cousin, but he also is
Understandably.
very aware that Rhys saved the rest of them. So this is
Yeah.
why he kind of has this very complicated feeling with Rhys when we
Right.
return to Tarquin later. And
Right.
so it sucks because so he's already in this weird middle ground with Rhys,
Yeah.
and then they kind of start pulling Tarquin back in, and then they just shove him aside again. Like Tarquin really gets like this shit end. Like I feel so bad for this sweet baby boy.
And I think this whole Tarquin thing from this book through Akamath, like, I think it's a really good example, kind of going back to what we were talking about with, like, why Reese had to play this chapter the way he does with Feyre and the paint and the dress and everything. This is court politics. Like,
Yeah.
if you've read or watched anything involving whether it's real or fictional court politics or just politics,
Yeah.
right? Like, this, yeah, right? Like,
The
especially
show
these
of it
days,
all. Yeah.
the show of it all, and like no one trusts anyone, and like for very understandable reasons. Like, you can't just kind of go in nicely and be like, please, like,
No.
can I please do this? Like, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
And especially in, I mean, like, the Fae have been established to be like very fucking brutal,
Yeah.
right? Like, I get it. I get both sides. And I think this is why her writing is so good, is like
Yeah.
she does such a good job with so many things in in all of her series really where you kind of can see
Oh,
both
yeah.
sides to a
Yeah.
degree. Like it's pretty rare. Like I think again, Hybern's one of the only
He's, like, the
characters,
only, like, pure, like, "Nah, fuck you, dude," like, kind of
yeah, in like
yeah.
all of her series. Aside like the only other ones I can think of are like the big bads in Crescent City.
Yeah.
'Cause even the big bad in Throne of Glass, I'm kinda like, "Yeah, not great what you do, but I see why you did it." Like, I don't
And I was
agree.
about to bring up the human queen in Silver Flames, but you kinda
Yep,
understand why she gets there, though. So, like,
that's the thing.
yeah, I
So,
think I think Hybern's the only, like, truly black and white villain
yeah.
that, like, we have because you gotta have one, you know?
You gotta
Like,
have
it
one it
can't
also makes sense, like, he's the one guy who's like, "Yay, slavery." It's like,
yeah.
yeah, you're gonna make him the there's no fucking excuse for this
Yeah, no,
guy.
there's no
Like,
yeah, it really is fascinating the way she is able to really kind of play around in the sort of gray space, you know? And I
yeah,
think that it's also one of the things that I love what she does with Feyre is that, like, when Feyre has that conversation with Tarquin, when she says, like, I think it would be easy to fall in love with you." I think she's
yeah,
being completely honest when she says
absolutely.
that. And
Yeah,
I think there is a moment there where you're seeing Feyre make a choice.
yeah,
Like, I think she's seeing that she could kind of just like maybe
yeah,
like run, like let's go be with this Tarquin guy,
yeah.
and
Endless Summer.
what I also love what she does with Feyre's character is that Feyre feels really bad about this for
Yeah,
like a while.
mhm,
Like, she makes a point to, like, apologize to him, like, later in ACOTAR, and I just think it's, like it's Sarah is just really good at bringing reality into these, fantasy, like, situations. Because like,
yeah.
even in this chapter, your first time read, you are not cool with Rhys in this
No.
chapter, right? But then at the end,
Yeah.
this choice to not expose what the summer court is attempting here
Yep.
and to not slowly torture this lordling and to just quick death.
And then he feels terrible about it.
And he very clearly does not feel good about it. Like,
No.
it's just fascinating how even in one chapter, Sarah is putting a first time reader in this position of like, he did this, but look at this. And you're like, well, what do I do? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, she does a really great job of kind of playing in the gray spaces, and it's
And
fascinating.
and to add to that, I'm so glad you brought this up because I wanted to bring this up. Reese very clearly feels horrible about this because he goes and drinks himself silly, right?
Mhm.
But Tamlin has no reaction. And
Yeah.
that's the guy we're supposed to be rooting for at this point in the
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
He has no reaction. And like at this point, we know he's not under a spell because
Yeah.
Lucian confirms that in this chapter.
Yeah.
And, like you confirmed in chapter 54 in Akamath, like Reese tells Feyre, part of me, dressing you up and tattooing you and all that was to get Tamlin to finally react and do something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so not only is Amarantha trying to get Tamlin to react in some negative way, Rhys is trying to get him to react to like basically break him out of his own self-imposed spell, if you think
Right.
about it, like because that's what he's done to himself, and be like, buddy, like wake the fuck up, like
Yeah.
rip her head off or like do something
Yeah.
because like at this point the only two people under the mountain who have the ability to actually end all of this are Feyre and Tamlin, and Feyre's a fucking human.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she is at a massive disadvantage because of that. Yet she is the one
Yeah.
who not only at this point is more likely going to do it, but she does fucking do it.
Yeah.
While Tamlin's doing shit. And I know last week we had that big revelation
Yeah.
of like, so
Yeah.
I get that.
But
Although,
yeah.
oh, I just realized something.
What?
So remember how we realized like after Feyre was beaten by the adder, Amarantha told everyone like
Yeah.
you can't help her with the at least the riddle.
Yes.
I mean, I guess that's not a spell. Well, but is it?
Is it a glamour?
But then what's the difference between a spell and a
I don't
glamour,
know.
right?
We
Like
need we need a dictionary,
I
Sarah.
know, right?
We need a
Right?
vocab list.
Yeah. So, but regardless, Tamlin is far better positioned
Yes.
than Feyre is. And he's not doing anything. And Rhys, and the thing is, if anyone would know the precise position Tamlin's in terms of what he can and cannot do, it would be Rhys. Aside from Amarantha, of course, but it would be Rhys.
Yeah. Well, because also the more I think about it, like Tamlin could still fully transform into
Yeah,
his little beast creature.
yeah,
So like,
he could rip her head off. Like, why? Like, I think that's the big question I have now is like, why is he not going beast mode? Especially for a dude who so easily, at the fucking flip of a switch, shoots out them claws.
gets so mad.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, the tragedy of Tamlin.
the tragedy of Tamlin, the way we go back and forth with this dude.
I know, man. It's
It's
just I think it's very sweet how hard we're like
trying
trying.
and then not being able, like, and I think that's by design,
Oh, absolutely.
honestly.
It's by design. Yeah. Yeah.
She really cut, it really is. Tamlin is the inverse of Rhys,
Yeah.
where every time Rhys does something that seems untoward or evil, she gives you a reason why. You're like,
Yeah.
"Ugh, yeah, I get it." Whereas Tamlin's the exact opposite, where it's like every time you're like, that wasn't great, but maybe I can find a reason behind it. It's like, ah, no,
Yeah.
he still had a way out.
Yeah.
It's about to get really fucking real in this book. I mean, it's
Task
already, but
task 2. Task
task
2.
it's so funny. We've been little shysters with the spoiler free because we keep being like, if task 1 was the monster, oh man, what is task 2 gonna be?
What's
It's
task
like
2 gonna be?
it's literally reading. It's reading,
Which
which
is worse for her?
is absolutely
For
worse for her.
Feyre, this
That's
is worse.
yeah, yeah, and
1 + 1 = 2.
oh my god, don't even get me started. I forgot
We're
what we
gonna
were watching.
rip baby girl apart in the
I
in
know.
next week's spoiler. Like, we're
Here,
not gonna be very nice to her, I think.
wait, here's what I'm gonna remind us both of. I'm holding myself
Uh-huh.
accountable too. She's still a little baby teenager.
She
Like,
is. She is.
you had
I
thoughts
know.
like that shit as a teenager.
I know. And she's grasping at straws. She's desperate, so what can you
She
do?
is.
But
So
no.
next week we're just gonna do chapter 40 because it's task number 2. We're gonna have a lot to talk about, including that 1 + 1 = 2 thing. So if you would like to reread that, go right ahead. I also know you folks know that chapter pretty well. We would love it if you would rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and YouTube. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Cauldron Save Us Pod. And you can write to us at cauldronsaveus@gmail.com. Getting close to the end, man.
We're getting close, dude. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
What a journey.
I'm
What a
like
time.
sad,
Yeah, I know.
but also Mist and Fury, my favorite.
I know. Seriously. Well, kids, Serial Squad, as always, thanks for joining along and you're welcome.
And we're sorry. Bye.
Bye.